War movies come and go, but every once in a while, one breaks through the noise and rewrites the rules of filmmaking. 1917 is exactly that kind of movie. And now, fans in the UK can relive this masterpiece all over again because it has just landed on Prime Video. Directed by Sam Mendes and released in late 2019, 1917 became a worldwide sensation not just because of its story, but because of how the story was told. Mendes decided to make the entire film appear as though it was captured in a single, continuous shot. No traditional cuts, no time jumps, just pure immersion, as if the audience is walking side by side with the soldiers, experiencing every ounce of fear, exhaustion, and uncertainty that war brings. The story takes place during World War I, after the German army pulled back to the heavily fortified Hindenburg Line during Operation Alberich. At first glance, the retreat seemed like a chance for the Allies to push forward, but hidden in that maneuver was a deadly trap. And at the center of this moment in history, we meet two ordinary soldiers with an extraordinary task. Dean Charles Chapman plays Lance Corporal Blake, and George MacKay portrays Lance Corporal Schofield. Their mission: cross enemy territory and deliver a message that could prevent a massacre. If they fail, thousands of men, including Blake's own brother, will be walking straight into certain death. That ticking clock drives every second of the film, and it never lets up. Of course, part of what makes 1917 so remarkable is its cast. The supporting roles are filled with some of Britain's most recognizable actors. Benedict Cumberbatch appears as a weary commander. Andrew Scott gives a sharp edge to a jaded lieutenant. Mark Strong brings calm authority. Colin Firth delivers a crucial briefing. And Daniel Mays adds heart early in the journey. None of them dominate the film, but each leaves a lasting impression. It's proof that sometimes, even a few minutes on screen can make a character unforgettable. Now that the film is streaming, a whole new audience can see why it was hailed as one of the most impressive war movies in decades. On Rotten Tomatoes, 1917 boasts an 88% approval rating from hundreds of critics. But numbers alone don't capture its impact. Reviews poured in with near-universal praise. Digital Spy called it an astonishing experience, naming it one of the best war films in years. The Guardian admired its raw humanity, pointing out that the quieter, more intimate scenes often hit harder than the explosions and chaos. The Times described it as part survival thriller, part frantic video game, yet elevated by its historical setting. And Variety summed it up best: the technical achievement was stunning, but it was Mendes' attention to character and emotion that truly set the film apart. Behind the scenes, the making of 1917 was just as daring as the story itself. To create the illusion of a single shot, cinematographer Roger Deakins, the legendary visual mind behind films like Blade Runner 2049 and Skyfall, used a combination of meticulous planning, custom-built equipment, and flawless timing. Massive sets were constructed to exact measurements so the actors could move through them in perfect sync with the camera. Even the trenches were dug specifically to match the pacing of the dialogue. The result? A film that feels less like something you're watching and more like something you're surviving. Mendes drew inspiration from stories his grandfather had told him about serving in World War I. He wanted to capture the sense of being dropped into the unknown, with danger lurking at every step. That personal connection gave the movie its soul. For all the technical brilliance, it's the human element, the fatigue, the desperation, the fleeting moments of hope that lingers after the credits roll. And audiences responded. When 1917 was released, it dominated the awards season. It won 3 Oscars, including Best Cinematography for Deakins, and took home the Golden Globe for Best Motion Picture Drama. More importantly, it carved out a reputation as one of the defining war movies of the modern era, standing alongside classics like Saving Private Ryan and Dunkirk. But here's what makes it different. Where other films often focus on grand battles or sprawling narratives, 1917 zooms in on a single mission. 2 soldiers, one impossible task, and the relentless passage of time. That narrow focus keeps the tension unbearable. You're not thinking about the war as a whole, you're thinking about whether these 2 young men will make it to the next step alive. Even years later, people are still debating which moments hit hardest. Was it the eerie stillness of a deserted town lit only by flares? The heartbreaking scene at the farmhouse? Or the desperate sprint through the battlefield as artillery rained down? Everyone seems to walk away with a different image burned into their memory. That's the mark of a film that does more than entertain, it sears itself into your mind. Now, as it streams on Prime Video, new viewers get the chance to discover it for the first time, while longtime fans can revisit and catch details they may have missed before. Because the truth is, 1917 isn't just about war, it's about endurance, sacrifice, and the fragile thread that connects one life to thousands of others. So whether you're watching for the first time or the 10th, prepare yourself. 1917 isn't a film you simply play in the background. It demands your full attention. It pulls you into the trenches, forces you to march through the mud, blood and leaves you holding your breath until the very end. War may be a familiar subject on screen, but few movies have ever made it feel this real. And now, thanks to streaming, the journey is only one click away.